All right. Good morning, Carroll County. Good morning to my colleagues. Good morning to our county staff and all the citizens that are tuned in this morning. Two of us are live here again this morning. It was going to be one, but it actually ended up being two due to some technical difficulties that I had in my residential area out there. So anyway, we're here and we're trying this again today. We're still tweaking this thing as we go along. So things, we're doing the best we can here. So with that said, we've got a very tight schedule this morning. We actually have our State Highway and Maryland MDOT tour this afternoon. So we're going to try to get through our schedule as best we can this morning in the most efficient way, which we always do anyway. So, all right. With that said, we always rise for the pledge, and then we'll have a moment of silence. Certainly keep everyone again in your thoughts and prayers across the country. I saw an update on the wildfires in California today. Man, that's a mess out there. So keep everybody on the front lines there, and everybody in the pandemic, and of course, personal thoughts for all those also in uniform, both in public safety and our armed forces. With that said, we'll rise for the pledge, and then we'll have our moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chair's stuck this morning.
I didn't fix that.
It's been an interesting morning for me. I don't know. All right. Good morning once again. Let's jump right into Priority Carroll. And this morning, I'm going to start with Commissioner Frazier. And I'm not going to tell you why. I'm just starting with Frazier.
Always a good place to start. No explanation needed. First thing I have to ask, did you get a promotion? Because you're sitting in my chair.
Oh, the good one.
All right. I really don't have that much to talk about. Except, the Board of Ed meeting last night, they've done some very positive things. A couple of things that they have done. They've already started in-person learning where students are actually going back into school and back into the classrooms for special programs. They've had, for the last 2 weeks, 169 students in special programs working. Now, of course, half are in one day, half in another day type scenario. And it's been running very, very well. They've also had the Career Tech program open with about 200 students. Again, half in one time, half in another time. And both programs have been running very, very well. They expect to increase the number of students in both programs, I believe, next week, which is, just another step forward. They're also expecting to open their hybrid system of teaching on the 19th. Could go into a bit more, but that's, keeping it short today. One last thing, pandemic is still here. Don't think because we've been going on this for 5 or 6 months, okay, I can relax. You can't relax. Keep wearing a mask, keep social distance, keep washing your hands, keep the numbers down. And I'll stop right there. Thank you.
Chair last week too. Just to let you know, I feel different. I don't know.
More intelligent.
Okay. Yeah. Commissioner Weaver, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I have an interesting one today. Got an email yesterday from a leadership team for Dream Builders. And this is a group that usually helps people in need with building homes. But due to COVID, they are building portable student desks for the at-risk students to use at home. And kind of neat, they reached out. I think Carroll County has requested 8 so far, but they'll be building desks and helping. If anybody wants to get involved, please contact me and I'll give you the information to get involved with this with Dream Builders. The other thing is I happened to stop by the landfill yesterday afternoon. And I just want to give a shout out to the people at the Scale House. They did an excellent job of greeting people, helping, just mentioning things. You couldn't have had employees with a more courteous, helpful type atmosphere presented to anybody going across that Scale House. I made mention to it on the way out, but it really is the message we want to send from Carroll County. We're here to help you. And I was really impressed with happened to be ladies in there at the time, but the message they portrayed for Carroll County. So thank you for what they were doing.
You're following me around, Weaver. I was out there this week too. So yeah, they're doing an excellent job out there. Commissioner Boucher, right over
Thank
here.
you, sir.
Good morning.
Well, it does my heart good to hear that two of my fellow commissioners are out there at the landfill. Those people work very hard. I'm sure the ladies at the check-in station appreciate your attention. So thanks for what you're doing. Also like to thank Commissioner Wentz for his leadership getting this together, and also the technical aspect by our media guy, Chris Swam, pulling all this together. And like the Board of Education, we're taking the steps to try to move out and piecemeal get back to some normalcy. So it'll take a little while. So I appreciate everything they've done. Also want to give a special thanks to all the food pantries out there that right now there's a lot of families under stress, elderly under stress, and that we must continue to support these food pantries. And I know Commissioner Rothstein's provided a lot of leadership down South Carroll, but please remember that there's people out there who are suffering. They don't have the income. A lot of elderly are isolated, and there's aspects that are affecting with that isolation. And since their senior centers have been closed, they're lacking something that we normally as a county provide for them. So please support your local food pantries. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Commissioner Rothstein, good morning.
And Commissioner Boucher, thanks, because we don't say it enough, and sometimes we sound like a broken record by repeating it over and over, but it's necessary. And these pop-up pantries are very important. And the Meals on Wheels and what the county is providing because of the senior centers being closed in supporting those that would normally get food now being delivered is very important. The only thing I just want to share is attended the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting last night. We have one more to talk about next week when it comes to rezoning or potential rezoning decisions for the Planning Commission to make their recommendations to come to us for final decision. I know that was a bit wordy, I apologize. I just want to give a shout out to the commission. I want to give a shout out to the community for getting on board and, you know, sharing their thoughts and insight on the value or their candidness on whether they agree or disagree with rezoning. Some can be very contentious, but it was a very good session last night by the commission. I also applaud our planning team under Linda and her leadership for preparing the commission to do what's right. So, you know, just another feather in the cap of coordination that I see between what we're doing, the commission, and the community. And we're not there yet. We just have to keep it going. So that's all I have right now.
All right, thanks, Ed. And quickly for me, just a couple things. I want to give one, I don't want to call it a last shout out, but I want to congratulate Clay Black again. We've been thanking him. And when you have employees like that that are long tenured and they leave here, it creates a little bit of a hole in county government. But there's always folks that are behind them that have been learning and you know, picking up where they are leaving off, and we appreciate that too. So to Clay Black and his wife, again, thank you for all that you've done, and he's officially on his retirement mode today. One thing that I want to give a shout out to is not only, and Eric, I appreciate you bringing up the food pantries because we've still got one up in my area too, a couple in my area that are working. And Ed, you've been instrumental down in South Carroll as well. Want to not forget, and I haven't done this in a while, and I'm going to do it today, to thank our first responders and law enforcement out there. We had an incident about 2 weeks ago with one of our law enforcement officers that was just absolutely absurd. And, we've come out very strong, all of us, saying that we will not tolerate any of that hatred in this county. And we're glad to hear that deputy is well on his way to recovery. And I just, other than that, I don't know what to say about something that is just so absurd. Our first responders, keep in mind that our volunteer fire departments have not had anything when it comes to fundraising.
Thank you.
When it comes to their bingos and their carnivals, etc. They are really thinking outside the box at these fire stations. A lot of them are having drive-through food. Reese is having a drive-through pizza thing that's coming up next week. So you can't beat carnival food. I mean, let's be clear. So if you get a chance, go on the websites of your volunteer fire companies, look at what they're doing, and support those men and women. They did a tremendous job with my mom last week, who had an unfortunate incident, and I can't say enough about our men and women that are riding our fire engines and our ambulances. And I'll take it one step further and give a huge shout out to all of our folks that are working in our long-term care facilities. We've had some unfortunate statistics that come out of them, but I can tell you that I see firsthand the tremendous effort that they are putting in to keep our senior citizens safe. And I'm not going to get into a big talk here about how important it is to honor our senior citizens, but because you all should know that those folks set the stage for why we can do what we're doing today. And we got some tremendous individuals that are in long-term care facilities that are being cared for in the best way that they can. So shout out to all the folks on the front lines. Our hospital's doing a great job. Everybody's doing a great job. Dennis, you said it very well. We're still in the middle of this thing. Maybe we're a little bit past the middle, but we're still in it. So don't let your guard down. We are where we are because folks are wearing masks and they're doing the right thing. And I see it every day. I watched folks go in and out of stores yesterday, and everybody's being very mindful. And gosh, that's a great sign for our citizens here in Carroll, and I appreciate it. All of us appreciate that. So, Roberta, our county administrator, anything from you for Priority Carroll before we get into the first agenda? And that's a no. All right. That's helping move it along.
Chop, chop.
Yeah. Okay. First on our agenda is any COVID updates. And I think we've got Ed on here this morning.
Yeah, he's there.
Yep. Haven't really received anything that I know of, Ed, but correct us if I'm wrong from the state.
The only thing that's come up is something regarding racetracks, and we don't have any we don't have any racetracks in our county, so nothing that impacts us in Carroll.
All right, Ed, I'll turn it over to you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, commissioners, and I just want to thank you guys for your continued support. I know this is difficult. It's a very divisive issue in the community, as everybody has their opinion as to what's best to try to deal with this pandemic. And I appreciate you being on board, supporting the importance of trying to keep the rates of disease down in our community as we try to get things reopened, especially as we're now trying to concentrate on things with the schools. As I share the numbers this morning, I'll mention a little bit more about that. But anyway, just moving on, I want to, Commissioner, you gave a shout out to a whole bunch of folks this morning. I want to give a shout out to my staff that are continuing to do all kinds of things that they don't normally do. And I appreciate all the effort that they're putting in. So I'm going to go ahead and share our numbers like we normally do. Okay, you guys can see that, right? I'm on a little bit of a different computer this morning, so if somebody could give me a yes, that would be great.
Yep,
okay,
we're good.
Great. So big thing is our community cases, and this has got a lot to do with getting back to school safely and being able to get back in this hybrid model that Commissioner Frazier referenced this morning. We kind of hit a peak back on August 30th, and we're heading towards numbers. Right now, we're in a range that would be considered a higher risk of transmission in schools if we were to reopen today. But since the week of August 30th, we've been in a downward trend. And if nothing changes and we don't see some type of an uptick because of something else, and I think a lot of times these upticks we see in the number of cases that we're seeing is because certain things reopen, and we expect that. And I think some of the folks I've talked with at the school board get it, that we reopen something and we see a bubble and we have to manage it down, and we get down to fewer cases again, and then we have to look at what's next. And right now, I think we're trying to focus on getting the kids back to in-person learning, and the rates have gradually come down since August the 30th. And I think we're kind of in a situation where we're on the low end of the higher risk of transmission right now, and we're hoping that it's going to intersect right at the right time, that the school system's planning on going back on October 19th, that we might reach the moderate risk of transmission, which I've told them I think is a reasonable time for them to be considering going back to school in person. And what we'd be looking for there is, based on CDC guidance, I gave them some guidance originally, but based on what the CDC's put out there now, roughly in Carroll County, an average of 42 cases per week over a 2-week average. And that number for the week of 9/20 has actually been updated, where we had 44 cases, but we're getting close to where we need to be. And I think if this trend continues, we're going to get down to that moderate risk of transmission right around the right time that they want to reopen schools. This is just that 14-day rolling average. I don't need to, it helps show the trends a little bit better. And then the deaths that we've seen, as I've said over the last several months, we've not seen nearly as many deaths. And I think it's a combination of things. I think early on, we lost a lot of people in facilities that were really vulnerable and fragile to this disease. And I also think that, our medical community knows how to better manage this now, and we're better at dealing with COVID. ICU bed usage, very comfortable with where this is. Garrett and I are still in touch on a regular basis. Garrett, the hospital president, and very comfortable with where the hospital is right now. The cases still by age group, the 18s, the 29s still seem to be the predominant place that we're having most of our cases. You might notice this week we actually had 7 cases in the age group that's under 18. So that's a little higher than what we've seen in weeks past proportionally. And here's the hospitalizations and deaths by age group. And then Commissioner Boucher, you had asked about the CDC information that's out there concerning rates of death. And I looked at the numbers that you had sent me, and it's based on projections that and estimates on people who are asymptomatic, may not have been tested, things of that nature in a pandemic. And yeah, those numbers look really low as far as what's been published. This is our actual case rate information. I've shared this with you all before, where the people that we've confirmed to have COVID that have actually been tested and we know have the disease, and this kind of excludes some of those people that are asymptomatic, because in the nursing facilities, we always know because they're testing them on a regular basis. But, this is the percentage of people that we're seeing that are dying that are actually diagnosed with this disease. The CDC information that's out there, it's based on projections and other things. This is our real-time data here in Carroll County, and with the 65 plus community, we're seeing a death rate of 23.5%. So I think that's pretty significant. I'd also shared with you all before the overall trends that we'd actually seen an increase in the number of deaths in Carroll County during this pandemic period. I do think the mortality rate, the number of people who are dying from this is dropping off significantly. However, I still think we need to be concerned about those folks who have some chronic issues after this has happened. We're finding out even in younger people, if they've had the disease, they're susceptible to certain myocardial issues and things of that nature. And especially with athletes and all, they're finding that you really need to be careful after somebody's had COVID to make sure that they're fully recovered and there are long-term effects, and we're really not going to know what those are until we get further on after things have kind of moved along, because it's hard to study the long-term effects of a disease until we've actually gotten through and had the experience. There's nothing been like this before, so we don't know what all the long-term effects are going to be until we actually start seeing those in people that have had the disease. One of the things that Commissioner Boucher had also asked about was some of the information about the contact tracing, and I'm just going to let y'all take a look at this. But the trends have been primarily of those who've responded, and not everybody's willing to respond and share all their information. But out of the folks that have responded between July and September 21st, the places where people had most reported that they've been prior to getting COVID have been at family gatherings, and we've talked about that before. Large house parties and outdoor large gatherings and events. And then is also listed down here in kind of decreasing order, large gatherings, dinner parties, sporting events, weddings, religious services, and funerals is where people have reported to have been. And that's not saying that we've directly linked it with those, but those are the type of events people have reported attending prior to acquiring COVID. So there's also, I've got listed here the places where top 5 reporting high-risk locations: working outside the home, indoor retail shopping, outdoor recreation, indoor dining, and outdoor dining were also mentioned. So I'm going to stop there and give you guys an opportunity to ask any questions you might have based on today's presentation.
Mr. Sarin, thank you very, very much for getting that data together. Go ahead, Dennis, and go.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, because you see a lot of information out there with the CDC, but for you to be able to bring it together and articulate it into numbers for our county puts it in perspective of what exactly we are dealing with locally. And also the information on contract tracing is really helpful as well, as I've been wondering, what are the results? What are we discovering? So that puts it in perspective for people to see, and it shows the exposure people can have in these facilities and these meetings. So thank you very much. Will this information be up on the website or anything for people to go look at it and be educated on the issue we're faced with?
If you'd like us to put more information related to the contact tracing numbers out there on the website, I can certainly ask our Maggie Coons, who does a great job with our communications, to put some more information out there. We've been taking feedback from everybody in the community. We hear a lot from folks that are on Facebook and whatnot that are following what's going on, as we'd really like to see this on your website, on that, or that on your website. If there's specific things that you all as a Board of Commissioners would like to see, we'd be glad to share whatever information it is that we're able to share. I mean, there's certain specific stuff that might make cases identifiable that we can't share, but there is a lot of things that people have requested that we specifically put out there. So I'll talk to Maggie about getting information related to the contact tracing stuff that's being shared by the state with us, to put some of that out there so that people can take a look at that as well.
Well, thank you very much. As long as you can put up precisely what we've just seen, because the information we're processing to develop policy, I'd really love for the general public to see as well, so they can put in perspective what we're faced with. And it helps us defend their positions as well, that these things aren't arbitrary, that there's actual science and data behind it. So thank you very much.
All right, certainly we'll get that up there. Thanks.
And I have a question for you. Since you weren't at the school board meeting last night, and I envy you for that, by the way, we had talked about the opening on the 19th. Are you okay? Just your opinion, because you're not the decision maker, and it's a board event that has to make it. But you weren't there to ask last night. Are you okay with opening 42 cases per week instead of 35?
Absolutely, and Commissioner, I've put this in emails, and I think it might even be in the letter that I sent them about what I thought about the fall sports. I'm concerned about the fall sports because I don't want to cause us to have a peak right before we reopen schools or when we reopen schools. But the number that I came up with was a number based on the reading that I did and talking with my staff and consulting. And while the health department can be our local experts in trying to provide advice to people when there's nothing else out there, the CDC certainly has far more resources than I have to be able to develop a metric. And I'm comfortable with where the CDC numbers are. I think actually I talked about it at the last board meeting, and I was envying you that board meeting because I think you were away, and we talked about how really now that we have the CDC guidance, we would normally think the way things would go is CDC would develop guidance and the state would say, yep, our maybe a little bit more specific guidance based on what CDC's put out there, and then at the local level we'd implement that guidance. It kind of went backwards this time, and local health department was the first one to put any numbers out there because nobody else had done it. And we didn't get the CDC numbers up until a couple of weeks ago. So I'm pretty comfortable with the fact that CDC has taken the time to develop this metrics, and being at a moderate risk, we're never going to get, as we discussed at the Board of Education meeting, we're never going to get to a very low or no risk while this pandemic's going on until we get to the point where we have a high number of people vaccinated or have already been infected and have their own immunity. So I think a moderate level of risk is relatively reasonable, and I truly think looking at the trends around October 19th, we're going to be just kind of right on that borderline between that moderate and higher level of risk. It makes me a little bit nervous because people are going to complain if we're just barely over the line at a higher level of risk versus a moderate level of risk, and there's nothing completely magical about those numbers. But I think if we're right there, I think it's a reasonable thing for us to be looking at. And it's really hard for the school system to turn on a dime. So we're trying to look at where we're projecting, and absolutely, Commissioner, I'm comfortable with the CDC guidance.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate your insight on that. That was a yes or no kind of answer, though. I'm just kidding. Thanks.
Everybody else was being briefed this morning, so I figured I'd be long-winded.
Yeah, there you go. Ed, Commissioner Rothstein or Commissioner Weaver, anything for Ed Singer?
I'm good. Thank you very much, Ed. And thank you again, like you shared with your team. Great job.
Yeah, thank your team for what they do. I know they put up with a lot.
All right, thanks, Commissioners. You guys have a great day.
Thanks, Ed. We appreciate it. And I think it was a good suggestion, Commissioner Boucher, to put that up so folks see the numbers. And again, it's all about remaining and being smart and focusing on the numbers and moving forward here in the best way that we can. And if we're doing that, we're actually helping Ed Singer and his staff.
Right.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So,
and like I mentioned, we see a lot of stuff out there in social media and the public on a national level and other jurisdictions. So the fact that Mr. Singer could get his staff together and pull these actual numbers down to what affects us directly in our county is a big plus to us and our decisions and our policy making. So thank you very much.
okay. Anything else from my colleagues on this particular issue? If not, we'll move into the Corona Relief Fund plan and get an update on that. And I'll turn that over to County Administrator Wyndham. Roberta, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. So nothing much has changed since last week. No new numbers, no new changes to the plan. We're just continuing to implement as we had planned previously. So the big update today will be the end of the Carroll Rebound Program as of yesterday. And so unless there's further ado, I'll turn it over to Jeff Lyburn to update the gentleman on that.
Morning. We would like to start is kind of give you an update. We closed our report last night at 5 o'clock. It's an extremely successful program. If you remember on phase one, where we used the small business loan fund, it was from the state and from the county here, we received 720 applications, and the total was $900,000 that we gave to small businesses. So 720 and 900,000. As of last night, when we cut off the portal, it was incredible the last week of what we received. Commissioner Weaver, thank you. We received 113 farms, and 2 weeks ago we were at 41. And it was a total of $573,000 to farms. 54 restaurants came in of a total of $570,000. We had 32 nonprofits for $152,000, and the rest were all businesses. The total right now, assuming we have about 130,000 incomplete, we're waiting on documents, and we're going to keep calling people and saying we need this documents. If you put that all together in 131,000, our total is $3,404,721. So $304,000 plus $900,000. You know, it's roughly $4.3 million that we've helped the businesses in Carroll County. So the CARES Act, repeat again, CARES Act, assuming the incomplete of 131, we'll have used $3,404,000 to businesses. So I think the program is very successful. Commissioners, thank you for the program and you know, all your support on this. So that's a great, you know, I think our goal was, you know, was somewhere right around this number. And we helped a lot of businesses, 1,420 businesses we helped, including farms and nonprofits. I'll stop there. I think the program was very, very successful, both programs. And I think we helped a lot of businesses, farms and nonprofits. I'll
Hey,
stop
Jack.
there.
Jack, I'll jump in. Again, your leadership and your team really made a difference. Your responsiveness to the community, looking at ways to get into the community and share with them these programs, using the business consortiums, going door to door, the flyers, the whole 9 yards. You really made a difference, and I appreciate that. You know, between using our money and using the CARES Act money to getting to $4.5 million or close to it is pretty impressive. I just ask one thing: do we have the flexibility with holding some of that CARES Act funds before bringing it back into the county for, you know, kind of one-offs that are still coming in between now and, you know, we could say the end of November, the program being closed, but as we still reach out and find those one-offs still needing the support, do we have that flexibility, you think? Because, you know, I think we have the process in place. I think, you know, the way you do it, the turn could be pretty quick. And, you know, to me, it's hard when you have a hard stop and somebody will say, "Ah, shit, I missed, excuse my language. I missed it." I think that's the first time I cursed on the air, so I do apologize. And I just don't believe we should be missing it and giving companies and businesses the opportunity. So Little Jersey came out. Sorry about that.
Well, I would agree with you, commissioners. However, this program has been out for 3 months now. We've given everyone, you know, a lot of, you know, information, and we've gone out there. So we extended it, you know, 30 days into 30 days, and then, but, you know, we've cut it off. Like I said, we have $3,404,000, and you know, there is a couple $100,000 extra, but you know, we did give everyone, you know, 3 months to do this. It's your call.
No, I agree. I'm not saying to push it back out and extend. I'm just saying have it in your coffers that if we or someone finds a business that is still in need, that was under a rock someplace and didn't get the information, that we have that flexibility. That's all.
Roberta, you can help me here.
Yeah, I'd be a little concerned that if it's not, you know, it either is open to everyone or it's not. And so I think if the commissioners want to continue the program, we don't have to push it. Maybe we could just continue it, or we can, you know, close it and then use those funds some other way to help the community.
Thoughts on that from anybody else? I think in order, and listen, one thing I want to say, Jack, to you, and we've said it time and time again, but you know, as I watch colleagues across the state, especially in some of our neighboring jurisdictions, get out and do these grandiose news conferences and you know, shout from their microphones that we're giving this to these people and we're giving this to that. We here in Little Carroll County have given a heck of a lot of money out, and we have a lot to be proud of. And we don't have to get in front of microphones to shout that from the mountaintop. So, and it's a direct result of the fact that you guys hit the streets. I don't know how much of that happened in other counties, but you actually went door to door. You went to businesses. You reached out on a personal level. So if that's not press conference worthy, then I don't know what is. So I want to congratulate all of you for all of that. Kudos to everybody. But I would be a little bit concerned moving forward if we don't open this up to everybody again. It sort of seems like it's just not fair again. That's where I'm at. But Jack, you said you're waiting on paperwork from some more, whatever they are. How much is that going to take up of whatever you've got left?
We've already included that in our numbers. That's $131,000. That's
Okay.
We're waiting on documents. You know, we feel we're just waiting on documents for that $131,000.
So then the bottom line total that's going to be left over with that plugged in is what again?
The total that we talked about in the beginning was $400,000. I mean, it was $4 million.
Right.
And we have roughly about 3-4. So we put everything together. We have about $500,000 from what, you know,
Okay.
in the program. But it could be used in other places, you know, in the county. I
Right.
do realize that.
And is that, Deb, I guess this is a question for you maybe, is that still under the guidelines that whatever money is left over, that's money that has to be spent by the end of the year? Is that still where we are with that fund?
Yes, so it will still have to be, the cost will have to be incurred by December the 30th. There is still work at the federal level to extend the deadline for this, but you know, it's tied to the next stimulus package. So
Right.
we'll see if they can get that done. And I don't want to wait, you know, I don't want to wait too long and then, you know, not have a plan for the funding that may be left. But I'll do whatever the commissioners, you know, think is best.
So what's the general thinking here, gentlemen, on what you want to do with this money? I brought up the fact that they pounded the pavement because I think we've probably exhausted all efforts. We've reached out more than anybody has. So I don't know. I'm of the mindset that maybe we should hold that and use it for something else because we've done this for 3 months. Dick, you're lit up. Go ahead.
You know, I think we ought to wait a week, give Jack a week to get this settled. It ended yesterday at 5, and I'm sure they have some balancing to do. Getting an exact figure together by next week and decide then where these funds should be put at that point. But I commend him, Jack, and his staff for what they've done. And I've told many of them this, but they have done an outstanding job of getting this money out. We spent 3 months doing it. Give them a week to get things finalized and put together. We know pretty much by then the exact amount. We come back next week and decide where we want to go with it.
Sounds reasonable to me. Everybody agree with that?
I agree with that. That was an excellent idea.
Ed, you good with that? Oh, Dennis, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm not sure what you mean, Commissioner Weaver, by give a week to get all the numbers together, or give them a week to extend the program by a week. I'm not sure. Just
To get the numbers, yeah.
Okay. that, get all the numbers together, although I think Jack is so efficient, he probably has those numbers together right now. But if we're just going to get the numbers together for a week, I'm all for that. Because I think there should be some type of cutoff or deadline, and then we can use the money for something else. It's been out there 3 months. From my background and things I've done, you have to have a cutoff at some point. You can't leave it open for the people that weren't paying attention or that didn't respond or had. Sorry, I just don't agree with that particular part of it. I think we should cut it off, get the numbers together, and find out what we're going to do have a plan for the rest of the money. I think that would be the best thing for us to do.
No, I don't agree. In the sense that I'm not sure the harm if we kept this thing open and just, fizzle down. We're not going to be pushing anymore. But businesses that are still, that we come across just in our daily lives and say, hey, have you? Because I'm still finding companies that haven't. And, sometimes they just need a kick, and I understand it's on them. But the more we can do to support these companies and businesses, I want to do. And we had a goal of $4 million. I look at it more of the purpose of this as opposed to the timeline, and we still have time. So my recommendation is that we just keep this open for the next couple of weeks, see where we're at. And then if it fizzles to a 0, then we'll know, okay, we're done. But there's still money being processed, so people are still coming in. So let it fizzle down to a 0 or to a point where we know we have to take that money and allocate it somewhere else. But we're only about $500,000 away from our goal. And like Commissioner Wentz, you shared, it was a very lofty goal to include that $900,000. That's, to be able to provide $5 million to our community in such a smaller population than others is phenomenal. And yeah, so my recommendation is that we just continue to keep this open and look at the purpose of this and not just the timeline.
I think it's a difference for having a goal and having $4 million. We had $4 million. We didn't have a goal of $4 million. And the way you say it makes it sound different. And we had the money to distribute if people came in and asked for the money. We didn't have a goal to give out $4 million, but we had $4 million that was there to give out. There's a difference. I think we've put it out there, like Jack and his people have beat the streets. I don't know what else you could do. Unless you go door to door handing out $100 bills. I'll give you my address if you're doing that. But how else we could do that? I just don't know. I think that there has to be a cutoff. I think I'm not in favor of waiting for the late people because the other people got their stuff in on time. I'm against that. We've extended the program. We've done this. We have other uses for that money. Let's find out how else we can use that exact same pot of money to help out the people in Carroll County.
Jack had his deadline of 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. How many applications did you get in yesterday, Jack?
That I can't tell you right now. It was quite a bit in the last, let's say, 4 or 5 days, but we didn't have a huge rush yesterday. We did. We were here until about 5:15. We did it with the phones open, so we didn't get any calls. Yesterday, basically after 5. But I'm not saying they're not going to come in today and say, "Oh, geez, we missed the deadline. What can we do?" But it was extremely busy week this past week.
Well, I wouldn't say to keep people out if they, come in a day late or two. At that point, let them go ahead and apply, take it. But here again, I think the fact is we had a extended deadline, and we did get to the point that all these people came in the last few days. And it's human nature to wait to the last minute on a lot of things. I'm guilty of that myself sometimes. Wait to the last minute, get it in because you had a deadline coming. At that point, we have to make a decision what we're going to do. But I would see, take any applications that come in late. But here again, let's to see where we are at next week. And if, you know, people aren't coming in, and I personally, I think made 40 calls and emails to people, have you applied? And a lot of them, no, I didn't think I was eligible. I didn't think I could get this money. And they then went back and applied. Is it that many we haven't reached yet is what I'm asking. And I don't know for sure, but I think, you know, all of them volunteered to take extra funds if they had it. But I just think, you know, we had a program, we've ended it. If things come in, we're not going to have a hard line on it, but let's wait and see next week where we fare in all this. How much do we have left? And give you a chance to breathe now and get caught up, and then we decide where we go.
Commissioner Frazier, my comment about the goal of $4 million, I said it inappropriately. My goal is to service all the small businesses that we can in the county. The money we had was $4 million, so you're absolutely right. I'm coming across companies or businesses that say we don't need the money, let's give it to others that could use it. And then when I walk them through what the money could be used for in accordance with the rebound guidelines, I said, you're helping yourself, but you're also helping the community by taking on this money, especially when it comes to marketing and other things that you can do. And then they kind of turn their ideas on how to reach out and use the rebound dollars. Yeah, the goal was not about money. The goal was about reaching out to the community, and we expanded it to home-based businesses, to farms. I mean, that is phenomenal what we've done, and we've been able to capture that. I'd rather go out in a fizzle than a hard stop. And kind of like what Commissioner Weaver shared, if businesses are still coming in, you know, they'll fizzle out. But right now, they're still there. And like Jack, you said, the last few days was extremely busy because of businesses coming in. We don't want that. We want when businesses don't come in and it's done. And then we'll know it's done. So if we give it a week or two, personally, I think a couple weeks, that's a good idea, but that's where I'm at.
Well, commissioners, the portal is closed, so we have to open it back up, you know, set a new portal, because there's no way you can send, you know, give us an application after 5 o'clock last night. Now we could, if you like, I'm sure companies will call us, or people will call us. We can keep a list of people who call us, or we can open up the portal again. That's the only two options. You can't, you know, you can't file an application, Commissioner Weaver, unless we open it back up. We can take telephone calls and people call us. But
I'd suggest if commissioners want to extend the program and reopen it.
Right, I would open up the portal for a couple weeks, but that is my recommendation. And what will happen, I believe, is we will get to a fizzle and businesses will not be applying through the portal, and then it'll be done. But you know, I don't want folks to be under the rock, kind of like what Commissioner Weaver said, and wait till the last second and all of a sudden it's gone. And that's it. No more push. Just leave the portal open for a couple weeks and see where we're at, and then it'll be done.
So in the interest of compromise here, why don't we open it back up until next Thursday? And then if we're not getting anything, then let's I mean, that's essentially what some of you are saying anyway, because you were going to give it another week to try to get whoever is left over. I can tell you in the farming community, word travels fast. Weaver's got a, never mind, I'm not going there. Anyway, it does. So giving them that extra week, I don't think it needs to be advertised. We don't have to put splashes in the paper again, but leaving it open for another week till next Thursday, we'll have an idea of where it is. Why don't we do that? Is it a lot of work to reopen that portal so folks can put in applications? Then you got the best of both worlds. You got folks calling if they need to, or they also have the opportunity for just one last week in case they missed it. Good idea, bad idea? Yes, no?
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
Well, I don't think we need a motion. I think if everybody just agrees with it, Eric, I think that would be.
I think that's a good compromise.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Is that it? Okay, Jack, are you okay, down there, procedure-wise, process-wise, just to reopen
Well,
that
we'll-
thing again?
We'll get it done. You know that. You know our staff will get it done. Now, the only thing, do we cut it off? Do we cut it off next Wednesday at 5 o'clock? You know,
Yeah,
we do
that's
that
what I would,
again?
yeah, that's what I would suggest. Let's just give it that extra week for anybody that's left over. And we don't have to advertise it. I mean, if the paper's listening in today, it's going to be in there as part of our agenda anyway. But let's just let it open for that last week, and then next Thursday we'll have more of an idea.
Okay, thank you. We'll do it. We'll get it done today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioners, that's all. Oh,
Okay.
right.
Anything else on that? And the other thing that I would suggest is I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of activity. So maybe everybody needs to be thinking about what we can do with that extra money. There's plenty of places that it can be applied. I mean, we talked about the fire companies and other things in order to get that money out. So just be thinking about what we can do. Next Thursday, we'll have the conversation again there. So, okay. Anything else on the relief funding or anything as it pertains to that, Roberta?
No.
Okay. All right. Anything else from anybody?
No, sir.
Okay. Moving on. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you.
All right. Doing pretty well here this morning so far.
What did Rothstein give you pointers?
Yeah. Okay. Next item on our agenda is Carroll County Board of Elections. Approval of an application for the COVID-19 Relief Grant Center for Tech and Civic Life. So that's Deb Standiford again. Deb, good morning.
Good morning again, commissioners. I was going to be joined by Catherine Berry, the elections director, and I don't see her on the call yet. So I can take this, and then if you have questions that I can't answer, I can get with her and get those answers for you. So we were made aware of an opportunity to apply for funding to assist in the general election that's coming up. It's from a nonprofit, Tech and Civil Life. They had $250 million or have $250 million to distribute nationally to help local election boards. The state elections board made us aware of this. They are unable to apply it on our behalf for the funding and asking the counties to apply. So we submitted a letter of intent with some basic information about the county. It's based on a formula, and they returned to us the grant amount that we would be eligible for, which is $76,536. This is for costs in addition to what we have, what we have already budgeted. We cannot supplant with this money, but can be used for things like drop boxes, PPE for staff, poll workers or voters, for recruitment of poll workers, temporary staffing, vote by mail costs, and then any administrative equipment that they might need. Catherine certainly had many things that have her budget has grown in this COVID year for elections and could certainly use this money. So we are asking for your approval of the application and the award acceptance.
Anything Director Berry wants, she's on top of it. So I think we need to move forward. I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the application submission and award acceptance for Tech and Civic Life COVID-19 grant.
Second.
Yeah, I'll reiterate what you just said, Eric. State Board of Elections tells us what to do and never gives us any money to do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is an opportunity to get some money back. So quickly jump on this one. All those in favor?
Actually, just real quick.
Hold on.
What is Tech and Civic Life organization?
They are a national nonprofit that advocates for fair and equitable elections across the country. I looked at their website. So they're a nonprofit, a national nonprofit offering this money nationally.
And I'm looking at their website right now as well, and I do not see any partisanship or any other affiliation except for what you just said. Is that what you've seen as well?
I did not see anything, Commissioner Rothstein.
Okay. Okay, I mean,
Along that
it's
line.
always nice to take money, but it'd be nice to take money from people we know who they are. So I'm just kind of quickly looking at their website because I just never heard of them before.
I hadn't either. And we did get the grant agreement. It's fairly simple and very straightforward. We can, the period of time that we have to use the grant, that we can't supplant, we can't reduce our budget by the dollars that they're giving us. And for the purposes and the program areas that are listed are the exact funding areas that they list. So we have to use it for our election.
Right, and it looks like it's affiliated mostly with East Coast and kind of the Michigan area. I mean, it doesn't look like it's much in the West or even California as far as those
I
that
think
are.
they're out of Michigan or out of Illinois, out of Chicago.
That's where it looks, yeah.
And I don't know that they've ever had this kind of money to give out. I would imagine not. It's a very unusual year for elections in particular.
Yeah, it says they've received right now 1,100 applications and counting, and it looks like it's an Illinois, Michigan area that they're hubbed out of. Again, I'm just trying to do a very quick due diligence on seeing if there's any, negativity about these guys, and I don't think so. So, I know you wanted to vote, so I'm ready at this point. Sorry about that, Steve.
No, that's a good catch, Ed. I didn't think of that in that way. So is there any sense, since you're looking at it, either you or Deb, that we should vet this before we get it, or are you too comfortable?
I don't think there should be any hesitation from what I've seen. I mean, obviously what I'm doing now is looking at all their news feeds, and yeah, it looks like it's a great opportunity to get $70-some odd thousand into our team, our elections team. So, I mean, I'm not an expert at doing this. I'm just doing a very quick cursory,
Yeah, right.
But
Well, Deb,
yeah.
Deb, I'm sure you've vetted it to the degree that you can, because this is in your wheelhouse. So
I did look at it, and it is unusual for a nonprofit to give grants to governments. I mean, it is an unusual circumstance. So I did look at their website. I reviewed the grant agreement. It doesn't seem to be anything that we would not sign. I mean, there's nothing in the grant agreement that is out of the ordinary. It's very short. They just want us to spend the money to support a open and fair election this year, which is of course the goal of every election board across the country.
Well, Deb, if anything goes wrong, we'll blame Ed.
Oh, thank you. I thought you were going to blame me. I tell you what, this whole COVID thing and grants, I dream about it at night. So,
is there a timeline on this thing?
There is not. I'm looking right now. Not specifically. No, they did not give us a timeline to return the grant agreement. Just told us when we return it, we'll we'll receive a payment within 2 to 4 days. So we could, you could wait. I have the agreement over in your office. You could review it. It is very short. It's about 1.5 pages as grant agreements go. So you could review it, and I'll wait until I get a signed agreement back before I take the next step. We have not accepted this money. We have not, we had to put in some parameters to tell them how big we are, because the grants are based on your size of your jurisdiction in order to know how much we may be eligible for, but we have not accepted it.
Deb, I will share, another way to look at this, especially with nonprofits, is to look at their board of directors and board of advisors. And again, I don't see any negative affiliation. When I say negative, anything that's partisan or secular that would give us cause to, to challenge it. And then also, their board of advisors is a very large board of advisors, and they are all administrators of voting, jurisdictions like Dallas County elections administrator, director. That's another one. Weber County, Utah clerk. They're all seem to be advisors from states, from Rhode Island, from different states. So it doesn't look negative at all. And it looks like an opportunity. I just never heard of them. That's why I'm just kind of making a quick look at this.
No, absolutely. And I had it here, and it is unusual to have a nonprofit. Well, and it's a lot of money.
Yeah, 250 million is a lot of money. Did we get the opinion of the state board of elections on this or not, Deb?
The state sent it to the locals to apply for.
Oh, okay. So the state sent it to us. All right. So that's a
Yes.
little bit different. So it went through their operations to get to here. Do we have a sense of any other jurisdictions that have put in for it?
I think we were the first, but then I think if, Katie shared that, it was very simple, and the amount of money that we got, she felt that other jurisdictions would be applying, but I'm not sure. I haven't talked to her this week.
I know I brought caution to this, but it does. It looks positive. It looks like their focus is on providing fair elections. They have training programs across the country, educating voters, equipping locations. That's their prime focus. Tackling the cybersecurity concerns is another one of their sectors. So my thoughts, honestly, and I apologize being long-winded on this, but if it came from the state, pushed down to us, why not go after $76,000? Unless there's some reason. Roberta, you popped in. You have any thoughts?
I just wanted to tell you that, as always, I read these documents before the commissioners sign them also, as does Debbie and several other staff members. I've read the grant agreement, and there's nothing there obligating the county beyond what Debbie has explained in this, that we must use these funds, the Board of Elections must use these funds for the purposes outlined. So I don't think there's any concern that there's any kind of influence attempt here in any way from this organization on the Board of Commissioners.
Call the vote.
Okay. Yeah, if you're ready, if everybody's comfortable, we'll do that. That's why I asked about the timeline. But if everybody's comfortable, then again, no need to apologize, Ed. That was a good catch, because I didn't really notice the fact that it was coming from something we've never really heard of. My only challenge here is, where in the world did these folks get $250 million to be able to hand out to? That's, in today's world, I'm not sure where it's coming from. That would be my only challenge here.
Just remember, if anything goes wrong, it's Ed's fault.
So, which I would say, and Roberta, you said you vetted it. Everybody's vetted it. The problem is here that there is a little bit of a question about where the money, the source of the money.
Well, again, it's on the webpage. Key partners and funders are Google, Facebook, Center for Civic Design, Knight Foundation, very large, Rockefeller Brothers Fund, Rockvote. These are big. Center for Democracy and Technology. But when you have Google and Facebook up top, it kind of gives you a feel.
Okay.
Private donation. It's not government funding. They're giving private donations to this fund.
Okay. In the interest of disclosure here, I just heard from Katie, and there was some sort of a mix-up. She never got the invite to come on this morning. So, I don't know how much more. I mean, we could get her on the phone if you want. You know, I don't know. I just want to make sure that we're not jumping into something here based on not knowing a lot about the source that we shouldn't be. And that's why I asked the question, if we wait a week, is it a big deal?
No, I don't think it's a big deal to wait another week. And I can try to get Katie, I can forward her the invitation
Okay.
where we can come back next week.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion. I don't know. I just don't want to get the county involved in something if we haven't. And Roberta, I hear what you're saying. Deb, I hear what you're saying. I don't know. I don't want to get the county jammed up if we don't have the right information on the source. Dennis, you go ahead.
From everything I've heard, I don't know what waiting a week is going to do. Ed looked at the board of directors, looked at where the money's coming from. Roberta and Deb has vetted this. We're not obligated for any way of accepting this money to do anything with it except exactly what it says to do with it, which is to help with the election and the PPEs and all that kind of stuff. What's waiting a week going to do? We vetted it pretty well here between our. I don't know why we just shouldn't vote on it right now.
And I will add, of course, that Tim Burke also reads all grant documents before you sign them. Just
That's right.
it is
I like
in the
that.
budget office. I send these for approval around to the agencies that are involved before I bring it to you. So the county attorney and the budget office also see this before it comes to you.
Okay.
Now
I
that
did.
Ed is off the hook and Mr. Burke is on the hook, I'll call the vote.
All right. Okay. If there is something in the interim that puts up a flag or something, you'll let us know, Deb. And if you'd get on the phone with Katie as soon as we get off of here, I'd appreciate it. She was in touch with me, and obviously I can't get on the phone with her right now. So just touch base with her.
I will.
I'd appreciate that.
And
So Eric,
just-
go
I
ahead.
apologize, just real quick, and it'll help move this along, is as of October 1st, 1,700 offices have applied, and the deadline to apply is October 15th. So there is value in getting this done now.
All right, we've got a motion and second. I'll call the vote as Eric has suggested. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. So off you go. Thanks, Deb, and appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Sometimes it's the little things
Mhm.
that get you, but that is a great catch, and I applaud you for catching that one, Ed. Nicely done. So, okay.
Thank
All
you,
right, Deb,
Commissioner.
and you'll reach out to Katie, please, after.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. Manchester annexation number 39, the Lippy property. We had a briefing on that last week, and now we continue to see if we can get to the decision mode here for the town of Manchester. Linda, I'm going to turn it over to you, our Director of Planning, because I know that there are guests on here, and you can introduce them and as appropriate. And Linda, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, again, we are here today to go over Manchester annexation number 39, the Lippy property. As you said, we did give a presentation to the Board of County Commissioners last Thursday, September 24th, to give you the information on the Manchester annexation, as well as the request for a zoning waiver. Today, I have with me Claire Stewart, who is the planning staff member who is in charge of annexations, as well as Steve Miller, that represents the town of Manchester, and Marty Hackett, who represents the developer of the property. So with that, I'm going to have Claire briefly review with you what the annexation is about, and then we'll have some discussion.
Thank you, Linda. Good morning, Commissioners. So I prepared a brief overview of what was presented to you last week on September 24th. Again, this is 26 acres of a 35-acre parcel owned by Woodhaven Building and Development Incorporated. In front of you is the zoning map for the area to be annexed. and the proposal is outlined in blue. The 25 acres, or 26 acres, excuse me, and the remaining 9 acres of the parcel is outlined in black, which is already incorporated into the town. So we have one residential unit on the property with access from 30, and then Southwestern Avenue is the access point from the west. Manchester Valley High School is located across Route 30. We have some undeveloped land to the north, south, and west of the property surrounded by residential. In the 2018 Manchester Comp Plan, the area has a land use designation of medium density residential. Current zoning on the property, we have 18.5 acres, which is the orange right here. That's residential 10,000, roughly 4 dwelling units per 1 acre. We have about 5 acres of conservation and 1.5 acres of commercial medium C2 zoning in the county. The town's proposed zoning is 24.5 acres of residential 20,000, and that's roughly 2 units per 1 acre. That would overlay the county's R10,000 in conservation zoning, and then a proposed business local zoning to overlay the county's C2 zoning. And because the town's proposed R20 zoning is 6 times denser than the county's conservation, zoning waiver has been requested from the petitioner. Let's see, and today, our action is we're asking you to approve, sign, and send a comment letter to the mayor and town council of Manchester. In that action letter, we have included approval of the zoning waiver, all of the comments we received from SHA and MVP. And then we also included some of the concerns that were addressed by the board at last week's meeting. That includes traffic and infrastructure concerns around Maryland 30 and some of the local roadways, environmental features, that's on the conservation portion of this piece right here, and then also adequate fire, EMS, and police services. So like as Linda said, we have Steve Miller from Manchester on the line, and we also have the petitioner and some representation. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them for you. No questions at this time? Well, a comment letter was sent to your office, and if everyone's reviewed that and there are no comments, then we're requesting that you approve, sign, and forward it to the mayor and town council of Manchester.
Okay. Yeah, I had to get on here. Dick, I think you and I had most of the questions last week, but you want to?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We have Steve on the line today. Steve, town of Manchester, good with everything happening here?
Commissioner Weaver, good morning, commissioners and everyone. This will go to public hearing to our mayor and town council on October the 13th. There was a letter dated June 16, 2020 from our town of Manchester Planning and Zoning Commission to the mayor and council to not recommend annexation of this piece of property. So this goes to public hearing with the mayor and council on October 13th.
Say, Steve, I missed that. What'd you say? There's a letter dated what? June?
A letter was dated June 16th of 2020 this year from our Planning and Zoning Commission to the mayor and council to not recommend annexation of the Lippy property.
Okay, well that's an interesting. I'm not. Can you elaborate on that a little bit, Steve? I don't know. I'm not sure why that kind of.
I believe that the Planning and Zoning Commission was concerned about numerous items. Some of the new items were brought up. Ms. Stewart brought those up. They were concerned about the traffic, concerned about water sewer. Basically, a couple of things that they are concerned about, that if this piece of property was annexed into the town, that could have a significant impact on town services.
Okay, I don't,
Was there a reply?
yeah. What was our, good question, Eric. What was our reply to them, Linda or Claire?
That letter was not sent to us. That was from their planning commission, the Town of Manchester's planning commission, to the Town of Manchester's mayor and town council. So I did not know of that letter that was sent. So our role in this is to basically push the paper through the system and for us to process the annexation from the county's end. As far as the annexation goes, we don't have a say and yes or no for the annexation. We are just submitting comments. The
Right.
only thing that we have the ability to do, and you as the Board of County Commissioners, is to issue a zoning waiver. If you choose not to issue the zoning waiver, the town would have to wait 5 years to rezone the property. So let's just say the annexation were to go through, but the zoning waiver is not issued, then they would have to wait 5 years before they could rezone it accordingly into the town zoning, but it would be annexed.
But Linda, what about the flip? What if we go forward with the zoning changes and they do not, request or accept the annexation?
But nothing happens. Then it's not annexed in, it's still under the county planning and zoning authority.
But it's rezoned.
No, it's not rezoned. Nope, it just stays as it is. The zoning, it's a waiver process. It is not actually rezoning the property. So
Okay.
they annex and then they would have to rezone in accordance with whatever the town zoning is. If not, it just stays as it is.
So why wouldn't we just wait to see what the town wants to do? Because I wasn't expecting to hear that either, about that June 16th letter, so.
So these are just comments that we're providing for their process. So they have asked us to process this for them, and we are now supplying comments prior to their public hearing. So they have that information on record for their public hearing. So we don't back.
So ultimately, all we're doing is doing our end of the paperwork to send it to the town and let them decide whether they're going to annex this or not. We have no involvement in the annexation ourselves, except to make the comment letter to send this forward and the zoning waiver. That's all we're doing right there. If the town decides to annex this, it's up to them. If they decide not to, nothing has changed. The property's still ours, sitting zoned exactly the way it's zoned today. Is that right, Linda?
That
I
is
thought it
correct.
was. Thank you.
Right.
So,
The commission,
so taking the action today could be I don't want to say a tool, maybe a tool to use for the town to make their decision, to allow them to make a decision? Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
basically, the county in these annexation situations is just like a commenting agency. So it's similar to, when you send something to a bunch of commenting agencies, and one's, the planning, and one's the state highway, and, et cetera, like you see frequently in all your planning commission things. So the county in this role is really just a commenting agency.
So if we have no plans for this property, why wouldn't we make these comments and push it forward?
That it's ultimately up to the mayor and town council. And if they feel that they don't have the adequate sewer and water infrastructure at the time, if they're just not ready for the property to be developed at the time, maybe they wouldn't push it forward. We have had cases like this come by before where we send a favorable recommendation to the town or city and they end up, they're just not ready for it at the time. But we have to remember that these properties that are requested for annexation are within municipal growth areas. And the purpose of the growth area is that the town has put it in their master plan or comp plan as land that they do for the future want to bring into their town. Maybe they're just not ready at this point. So I think ultimately that we'll send our comments, and the town council will take recommendations from our comments from the public, from the county, from state agencies, and also they'll take the recommendation from the planning commission and ultimately make their decision.
This is District 1, correct?
Yeah.
Well, since it's District 1 Act, professional courtesy to my fellow Commissioner Wance, I will follow what he tells us to do on this.
Well, I appreciate that, Eric, but I don't know that in my 6 years here, and Dick and Dennis, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've ever had this occur before where we actually, we're doing what needs to be done procedurally, but yet we're getting a pretty strong signal that Manchester, the town of Manchester, really is not ready to do this. So I guess I want to make it clear, because it's a matter of perception here, right? Because if we say yes and do this today, then it's perceived that, yeah, we're good with it. But I want to make it clear that we're only approving and signing the comment letter to give to Manchester. Then it's ultimately up to them in order to make this decision, as it should be. I want to make that very clear, because that information can get lost in the weeds here big time. The county says yes, but Manchester says no, and I'm not. This has to be up to Manchester. They're the ones that know this the best, Steve, right? That's you guys. When it comes to, and Dick, you and I had the questions last week about fire, EMS, about law enforcement, specifically traffic. That's best left up to you guys in the town of Manchester to determine whether or not you can make this decision.
You're absolutely right, Commissioner Wance. Again, as I said, the public hearing is October 13th. The mayor and council at that time, at that meeting, they do not have to take a vote. They can delay the vote for a month, possibly several months. The public hearing, as stated, is just basically what it says, to hear what the public in the surrounding area has to say about the possible annexation. Could the mayor and council make a decision and not go along with the recommendation by the Planning and Zoning Commission? Yes, they can. It's in the hands of the mayor and council. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
And Steve, the mayor, the town of Manchester asked us to do this for them at this point, right?
Yes, and part of the review package when properties go out for annexation, this is, as Linda alluded to, this is part of the review package. It goes out to a number of different agencies in regards to the property. Yes.
Annexations are done by the property owner. They're not done by the county or the town. Someone comes and requests that they want to be annexed in. So it's nothing that anyone is requesting from the county or the municipality. In your letter to the mayor and town council regarding this, you can say that you're not in favor. If this is something you don't want to see move forward or you're concerned, you can craft this comment letter to continue to address your concerns. And again, if you don't choose to do the zoning waiver, you don't have to do the zoning waiver. You can deny the zoning waiver. So there's a lot of tools in the toolbox.
But I'm not sure why we would do that. Because again, it gives an opportunity for the town to make their decision. And I guess the flexibility of what that property could be zoned as or rezoned. And that's all we're doing is making a recommendation that, yes, we agree that it could be, if they choose to annex it, to be rezoned. Is this similar to Sykesville, Buttercup area, the property that has been not annexed or no?
Claire, did they ask for a zoning waiver on the Buttercup? I think they needed to because it was industrial and they were going to residential.
I'm not completely sure, but either way, we approved the zoning waiver, and if it was, I believe there was a zoning waiver, it was approved. It went before a public hearing with the town council, and they never moved it forward. So it's still zoned industrial in the county.
And also we had that in Mount Airy, about two and a half years ago, the same thing. They tried, there was an annexation request along 27 for a particular community, and ultimately the town did not accept the annexation. So again, we acted as the conduit for a clearinghouse, so to speak, and ultimately the town made their decision.
Okay, I just want to make it clear that this decision is entirely on the shoulders of the town of Manchester. Well, I don't want to get into a thing here where we're telling Manchester what to do here. So that's why this can get lost in the weeds, and I can see the headline in the news. I want to make this very clear. Dick?
And I do have the concerns I think we aired last week about this whole project with traffic, impact on town water, sewer. I know there are issues there. So, yeah, it's up to the town to make these decisions. I will go with you on that. But I do have concerns about many of the things that are happening in that area.
Yeah, I think traffic's one of my biggest concerns, but also I'm concerned about the fact that it's going to have an impact on public safety over there as well. Throw traffic into that mix, obviously, but Steve, you know very well that adding that burden, if it ever does get to where it wants to get zoning wise, that burden is going to be huge on your law enforcement and your fire and EMS. Water, sewer, traffic aside, right?
You're absolutely right. And that was laid out in the annexation plan in regards to responses back from both the fire and police chiefs and also DPW, Public Works. You're absolutely right. Yes.
Okay, well, I think if our comments on there and our concerns are clearly stated on the comment letter, then I'm prepared to let it move forward so that the town can move forward.
I agree.
Does that make sense? So with that being said, I'll move that we approve and sign and forward the comment letter to the town of Manchester on their annexation 39 of the Lippy property. Emphasis on comment letter.
Second.
Well, and the comment letter lays out, Claire, what you just shared, right? The rezoning changes that could be made?
Yeah, everything that I just shared, it is acts as approval for the zoning waiver. It includes all of your comments about the infrastructure, the environmental sites, and then also those comments we received from the state.
Okay, thanks.
And our concerns are also in that comment letter.
That's correct.
Commissioners, I just want to be clear, and I'm not, that yes, I believe your concerns about fire, EMS, law enforcement, transportation, et cetera, are in there, but there's a bold statement that says, having reviewed this, I think there's a mistake. Having reviewed the Planning and Zoning Commission's report and favorable recommendation, I assume that's referring to the town of Manchester's Planning Commission, or
No, that's our Planning Commission.
okay, well, might want to add that just to be clear.
Okay.
And the Board of Commissioners voted to forward a favorable recommendation of the annexation. Are you favorably recommending this? I
No.
was here. Okay,
I'm
so
not. That's not part of my. That wasn't part of my motion. I'm not given a favor. I'm not in any way ready to give a favorable or not or unfavorable here. Again, I want to make it clear this is on the town. So if that language is in there and I don't see that anywhere, maybe we don't have. Maybe I didn't get the right page.
it's the second page of the comment letter at the bottom. It's the bolded statement.
I don't. Did I get that? Oh, I see that.
I see it.
Right, I see it. I've got it. Having reviewed the Planning and Zoning Commission's report and favorable recommendation, the Board of County Commissioners voted to forward a favorable recommendation of the annexation and approval of the zoning waiver requested the town of Manchester. I'm going to withdraw my motion if that's not struck.
I
So-
could reword that, forward their comments and on this annexation and approval of the zoning waiver.
Okay. We're not giving a favorable recommendation. We're giving the comment letter only.
Could we replace favorable with neutral?
Yeah, we can just take out that language and we can work with the county administrator to reformat that language appropriately to match your motion.
Okay.
That'll work.
Everybody good with that?
Yes, sir.
Dick, you good with that?
No, I'm not. I think we need to see exactly what we're approving or dealing with here. And we have a lot of miscommunication here at this point. I think we need to send it back and come back to us with exactly what we're voting on. I'm not thrilled with, where we are at the present time.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see, when's the hearing, Steve? 13th? Is that what you said?
Yes.
That's correct, sir. The 13th, yes.
Okay, so we've got a week here to tweak this letter,
Is that,
right?
Does that work for you, Steve, if the board meets again on the 8th and makes the decision then?
Yes, that would be fine. That's no problem. Roberta, that you said the 8th, is that correct? Yes, that's fine.
I can withdraw my second.
Yeah, I'm going to withdraw my motion until we get the right wordage on that. You good, Eric?
Yes, sir.
So Commissioner Boucher has withdrawn his second as well. All right, any more discussion on this? We'll put this on the agenda for next week. We don't need to debate this again, but only to tweak the language in here to make it clear that this is the recommendation. This is the comment letter only. We're not giving recommendations on whether to or not to. Okay? All right. Mr. Hackett, you didn't get a chance to chime in here, but I appreciate you being on here this morning to hear this discussion.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Marty. We appreciate it. So we didn't really need to get into the nitty gritty there, but I appreciate you taking. I know you're a busy guy, and we appreciate you taking the time to be on here as well. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. All right, we'll be back just again to get the wording right on this for next week. Thanks, Claire. Thank you, Linda. Thanks, Steve, and thank you, Steve. Keep things under control in Manchester.
I will do that. And by the way, real quick, at 2:37 a.m. this morning, my wife and I became grandparents for the first time. A little girl, doing great. Mom's healthy, baby's healthy. Everybody's good. So
Congratulations, my friend. That's excellent.
thank you.
Nothing like being a grandparent. That's good stuff.
Absolutely right. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Thank you.
Congrats. Yep. All right. Thanks, Steve. Okay. Moving forward, request acceptance of the WIOA Title 1, whatever the PY and F, I think that's supposed to be FY20 and FY21, Carroll County grant funds for adult dislocated work, Youth Department of Economic Development. That has to do with Burke. And Denise, you taking this one? Right. We
Yes.
quite frankly have seen enough of Liburn this morning, so I'm kind of glad to see you, Denise. So good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Yeah, I had a problem with the sound last time. Yes, thank you, commissioners. Each year, the Maryland Department of Labor issues workforce development training funding. And so we come before the board basically for acceptance of that funding. And actually, the PY was correct. It stands for program year because with workforce funding, it goes through program years as well as fiscal year. So we have two separate allocations that are being given to Carroll County Business Employment Resource Center to provide the workforce training programs and services. And so we're here today to basically ask you for acceptance of that funding as we do each year. And you have the information with the total amount of funding that's coming into the county. And Heather Powell is here as well if you have any questions with regard to current programs and service delivery. But basically, we have $390,520.50 for the period of July 1 through June 30th for that program year. And then also $693,255.50 for the period of October 1 through June 30th. And that's totaling over $1,083,776 for our workforce program funding for this fiscal year and the program year. So we're basically just asking you for approval to accept those funds.
Ms. Beaver, have you seen an increase in demand through the epidemic on this service?
I'll let Heather address that. We are operating right now by appointment only at the center, and I'll let Heather fill you in on how the services are going.
Thank you.
So right now, commissioners, it is somewhat slow. I think there are several factors that play into that. Extended unemployment benefits go through the end of the year, the calendar year, December 31st. Schools not being in session, workers are determining whether they stay home with their kids, go back to work. There's a lot of remote work going on. So the combination, along with our unemployment rates have dropped again back in Carroll. We typically have a very robust workforce, and we're down below, we're hovering right at 5% unemployment right now. So the people that are coming in by appointment, we are able to provide training for them. Training venues have opened up. A lot of them are either hybrid or online, but we're working diligently with people, and we're being very successful with the people that come in. The customers that we see by appointment only are usually individuals that don't have access to technology. So I think we've been very fortunate in being able to open. There are several workforce centers across the state that have not opened their doors yet to customers. So we're kind of ahead of the curve in Carroll, I'm happy to report.
Thank you very much. That was a positive report.
Yeah, Heather, also very well said. I serve on the Workforce Development Board, the Governor's Workforce Development Board, and we saw the same type of issues that you shared. So it's nice to hear that locally you're saying what the state is also seeing. So the amounts, I have no issue with whatsoever. The question I have is the allocation starting July 1st, 2020, and we're 3 months into that. Why are we approving money that is allocated before? Like, I feel like we put the cart before the horse on receiving this money without our approval. Am I seeing that wrong, or can you walk me through that?
I'm not really sure. I think this is relatively newer for us that we need to come. It's money that's allocated for the past 20 years in this grant that continue. We just need to be ahead of the system. And we had the transition where I came into the office, the position of manager. So, and at what point the state gives us the grant figures. So I think we can be more timely, if that's your question.
Yeah, it's just that we're approving the acceptance of money, but the money was already allocated. So I'm not sure why we're approving it if it's already there. So I feel like there's, again, cart before the horse, but regardless of that, I think this money is going to be very well spent. There is no match for this money, correct? This is money coming from the state for these two programs?
Beds.
Correct. And we are a subrecipient of Howard County, so the money comes directly into Howard County, and then at this point it's split 50-50 between the two counties.
And this should be the last time we do this if we move to split Carroll County, Howard County funding, correct?
Correct.
That's a good thing. So with that, I'll move the Board of Commissioners accept the WIOA Title 1 PY20 and FY21 Carroll County allocation in the amount of $390,520.50 for the period of July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2022, and in the amount of $693,255.50 for the period of October 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2022.
Second. Gotcha.
Weaver wasn't there, and all of a sudden he comes flying back in. Hey, Heather, just a quick question. Do we
Yes.
use every penny of this? And if we don't, what happens to whatever's left? Do we know?
So this funding cycle, it's given on an annual basis, but it has a 2-year lifespan. It rolls over. So unspent funds are rolled over into the next fiscal year, and we have to use those before we tap into the new fiscal year. So we do have sort of a rolling thing with this grant. I think what we're waiting to see is if we dissolve the Mid-Maryland agreement, how the reallocations are going to work. And I think that's a reallocation across all workforce boards in the state. It just won't be half of what we're currently getting. So there are a lot of changes coming up with this move.
Okay. All right. Very good. Any other questions for Deb or Denise or Heather? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Denise. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We go from workforce development to lubricants, motor oil, and antifreeze.
Exciting stuff.
And for that, I bring in Maureen Dunn, our senior buyer in purchasing, who will start this off. And our bureau chief at Fleet is here as well, Keith Vogel. Maureen, good morning. And you're muted.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, and we can hear you now.
Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. We are here this morning to request your approval to award a contract for supplying and delivering various automotive fluids for the county's fleet to the United Oil Company in the amount of an estimated annual amount of $57,490.40. This is within the budget and no additional funds should be needed. And Keith, I'm sure, could answer any questions you might have.
Morning, Commissioners. This contract is going to cover our bulk oil, 1540, 530, our hydraulic fluid, our tractor fluid, our antifreezes that we use in repair and maintenance of vehicles here at the shop.
Hey, Maureen, is the estimated amount? I guess this is a not to exceed amount. Is that the way it is?
Yes, that's what we're anticipating is that if you look on the executive summary, there is going to be a combination of both the synthetic and the regular. So it might go a little above that, but we don't expect it to be much more than that.
Keith, are most of the vehicles going to synthetic for the oils and lubricants, or is this, which new vehicles all synthetic?
Not all new vehicles. We use like regular conventional 1540 for our dump trucks. Some vehicles such as Hondas and Toyotas specify their own oil, so we buy that separately. This is mainly, for the small cars, we use a synthetic mix. So this covers most of our vehicles, but not all of them. Some of them we have to buy separately because they do require full synthetic. But for the most part, our larger trucks will all take conventional.
All right, any other questions?
No, I move the board. Go ahead.
I move that the Board of Commissioners award the contracts, supply and delivery lubricants, motor oil, and antifreeze to the United Oil Company in an amount of $57,490.40.
Second.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and second. Actually, I have a motion in 2 seconds, so apparently this one's going to pass. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Janitorial services. Thanks, Keith. Janitorial services for various county-owned buildings. And Justin's on here, but first we'll hear from Maureen.
Okay, again, we did solicit bids for cleaning services for 7 county-owned buildings, and we are requesting your approval to award a contract to Summit Building Services in the amount of $168,862 annually. And Justin can answer the questions about, you'll see that we're not going with the low bid, but it is within the budgeted amount of funds.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm requesting your approval to award Summit Building Services the janitorial contract for Carroll County government. The contract includes the staffing, supplies to clean 6 county buildings. In reviewing the bid document, we concluded that Summit Building Services offers the best service and value to support our cleaning needs here in Carroll County for a few reasons. One, they serve 9 other local businesses here in Carroll County. All references reported a positive experience using their services. All local companies identified on their reference sheet is in comparison with the square footage per building to the buildings that we're going to be cleaning here at Carroll County. Additionally, the number of employees Summit will assign each building and their weekly hours that they will be on site performing their cleaning, we believe that we're going to get the best result for our money. Summit previously held this same contract from 2012 to 2017. With them already having the contract, I feel this is going to be a smooth transition, rolling right into the new contract. Their main office is also located here closely to Carroll County, right outside Carroll County in Reisterstown, Maryland. And with them having a lot of companies in Carroll County, if we do have an emergency response that we need to attend to, they will have facilities on staff to get there as soon as possible. Summit Building Services has been in business for 33 years. What questions may you have regarding this contract, Commissioners?
2 upfront questions.
Yep.
One is the challenge that this could be protested by the lowest bidder being a good close to 40,000 below what we're accepting. And then also, you said they supported us 2012 to 2017 Summit. Who had the contract 2017 to 2020?
P2 Cleaning currently has the contract.
And they are well above the prices that we see. So we're moving on. Were we dissatisfied with P2, or was it because their pricing just got too much for where we are budgeting for?
A couple different things, Commissioners. We were very dissatisfied with them. They weren't performing the jobs that we needed them to perform, which allowed a lot of phone calls coming into this office. I believe what happened originally is they underbid this contract, because if you take notice, their original contract came in at 157 5 years ago, and then they upped it to
227.
Yes. Yep. So I think they realized that they were well under budget, and then they came back with a higher quote.
Are we providing a very clear past performance write-up on P2 to ensure that it goes into the records?
Maureen can speak to this, but yes, we went through probation periods. They were aware of it. I think the probation, Maureen, was 3 months probation we had them on. So they're
It was 6 months, I believe.
6 months.
Yes, we have kept documentation on them and given them actually a couple different chances to improve.
Right. Okay. I just, dealing with contracts, making sure past performance, is documented and very clear as they're moving to other, jurisdictions or other programs. I want to make sure people know.
Yes.
Now, what about the protest potential?
Well,
with
the
RFP?
protest, they have 10 days to protest, and we passed that time date. And I believe Justin did talk to the apparent low bidder. He did call in, and Justin explained to him why we were going with the second apparent low bidder. And I think that was resolved that way.
That is correct. I made contact to Easy Does It, their sales rep, and we discussed that over the phone, and they were aware of the reasons why I was doing what I felt was good for the county.
Fantastic. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the call, especially if you directed that call and they didn't call to ask. That is a very mature approach in contracting. So really kudos to the whole process. So thanks.
You're welcome.
Hey, Justin, what's the 6 buildings?
We're looking at the Citizen Service Complex, Courthouse Annex, the Farm Museum, the Fireman's Training Center, New Windsor Library Headquarters, and Robert Moten Center.
Okay. Cleaning has become quite the challenge these days. So
yeah, it has, and we put some special wording in our contract this year due to the epidemic we're in to make sure we're covered on the backside for COVID-19 as well too.
okay, yeah, that's kind of where I was going. I figured you'd do that. So
Oh yeah.
okay. Any other questions on this one? I'll make the motion. We award the contract for janitorial services for the 6 county-owned buildings to Summit Building Services in the amount of $168,862.
Second.
All right. Motion and second. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thanks, Justin. Thank you. Well, Maureen, you're still on here again. Thanks, Justin.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
I want to state that Commissioner Rothstein has been really on point this morning. Are you taking that Einstein supplement they advertise on TV? Because you've been right out there on this stuff.
Don't sit him.
Don't encourage him.
Okay.
His hair's all grown gray.
See what you're doing. All right. Next up, private landowner tree planting for fall of 2020. And Chris Hine, our Bureau Chief in Resource Management, is here, but we'll start with Maureen on this one. Maureen.
Okay. Again, we solicited bids for the planting of trees at 4 privately owned, 1 town-owned, and 1 Carroll County Commissioner-owned property. We request your approval to award a contract to J.C. Kirby Enterprises Incorporated to do this work in the amount of $243,743. Grant funding will cover $153,276 of this cost. This cost is within the project budget and no additional funds will be needed. And Chris can talk to you about the project itself.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. So as part of our NPDES permit requirements, we have a program where we reach out to private property owners and offer up to plant trees on their property if they're interested that benefit the health of the streams and allow us to gain credit towards our permit. And so this is a year-long process where we've been working with private property owners, working with them as far as what kind of species of trees, where they would like planted, and so on. The benefit to the private property owners is that they get the trees installed. There's no cost to them, and our contractor maintains those trees for 3 years. The benefit to the county is that we get credit towards our NPDES permit for these plantings. So happy to answer any questions that you have.
This is a really good program. I have a constituent has a concern about this, so this is all be a big help to them and hopefully alleviate the issue they've had. So thanks for offering this up.
Yes, it's been a very successful program. We've planted well over 100 trees over the past few years around the county.
Why such a swing in price? I mean, it's a big distribution here between the 7 vendors.
Yeah, honestly, I do not understand the large swing in price. I'm not sure if it's a matter of the stock and where their suppliers are. and what kind of impact that COVID has on greenhouses and supply. You'll notice that we did get some respondents from out of state, and I'm wondering if some of the transportation costs related to coming into Carroll County contribute to that.
Is there a request of exactly what type of trees?
Yeah, so when we put out this RFP, we specify exactly what species of trees and the quantity and so on that they're responsible for planting.
Okay.
Was that your question, Dennis? Because I saw you.
I think I stole this question.
Very similar question, but yeah, so the answer was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we work with the property owners exactly on the species that they're interested in having planted. Of course, working within guidelines of we're only going to plant native trees and trees that will be successful in the growing conditions for the particular site.
Commissioner Wance, it looks like there's vendors in your district.
Yeah.
You want to make the motion?
District 1. Yeah, that's fine. I'll move that we award the contract for the private landowner tree planting fall 2020 to J.C. Kirby Enterprises in the amount of $243,743.
Go ahead, Weaver.
Second.
Hope their lights are lit.
Yeah. It's almost like, sometimes I feel like Alex Trebek, with
Get the buzzer.
who gets the buzzer in first. All right. Any questions on the tree planting here? All those in favor? Again, unanimous. All right, and we move to Gillis Falls tree planting. Maureen?
Again, we solicited bids for the planting of trees at the Gillis Falls site. We request your approval to award a contract to Red Hill Lawn Service Incorporated in the amount of $159,167.50. Grant funding will cover $151,167.50 of this cost. And again, it is within the project budget and no additional funds will be needed. And again, I'm sure Chris can answer your questions.
Yes, so you may remember back in February, we came before you and requested permission to request grant funding from the Department of Natural Resources specifically for this site. It's just over 20 acres off of Gillis Road, and we applied for the grant money and were successful in obtaining it. So this is the result of that, putting out the request for bids, and as you can see, the grant money covers the majority of the costs related to the project.
Mr. Hine, this is the site that you gave me a tour of earlier in the year?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
All right, well, since it's in my district, but the vendors believe in Frazier's, I'll make a motion. Hopefully he'll second. I move that the Board of Commissioners award the contract for the Gillis Falls tree planting fall 2020 to Red Hill Lawn Service, Inc. in the amount of $159,167.50.
Second, it's my district, Weaver.
It's in my district, actually, the vendor.
Mr. Hine, once this starts to go in process and are actually out there doing the tree planting, can I get a follow-up tour, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
What comes with a shovel.
All right, I got a shovel holes too.
Okay. The important part of these two projects too should not be overlooked, and that is the fact that most of the cost of these things are covered by grants. And again,
Yes.
I applaud our people for finding those. That's incredible, and it just not only is it adding to the beautification of Carroll County, but we're able to get those grant fundings, and it's less on our citizens' taxpayer dollars.
And ultimately increase the water quality in our county.
Exactly right. All right, got a motion and second on this one. All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Maureen. Or you're going to probably stay on here, aren't you? Thanks, Chris.
Yes, I am. One more time.
Thanks, Chris. Happy planting. Okay, now we move from trees to public safety for the next few items here. And first on the list is the Dell tablets for various pieces of equipment in our fire departments. Maureen?
Okay. We request your approval to award the contract for the purchase of 13 Latitude rugged tablets from Dell Computer Corporation in the total amount of $34,665.57. These tablets are replacements to be used in various fire department vehicles. This amount is within the adopted budget and no additional funds will be necessary.
All right, and we've got Mark Ripper on here from IT. These are the ones you can throw up against the wall and they keep on ticking, right, Mark?
Yes, Commissioner. They're a very sturdy, rugged device. They're a little bit more expensive than a laptop, not a lot. But their ruggedness has proved over the last 10, 12 years to be worth that additional cost as they are completely used inside mobile vehicles and driven around. And this is just part of the standard replacement cycle. There's nothing unusual here.
And for public clarification, please don't throw them against the wall.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was going to, okay, so here's the disclaimer. Don't throw them against the wall. But the biggest thing here is that as these things are going in rough terrain and various pieces of equipment, they hold up very well. So kind of know that a little bit firsthand, if you will. So, all right, any other questions for Mark on this one?
Just that, Mr. Ripper, you're looking very intimidating by that camera angle. I just want to share that with you as you're looking down.
Thank you, Commissioner. That was not my intent.
I move the Board of Commissioners award the contract for the purchase of the 13 Latitude rugged tablets from Dell Computers in a total amount of $34,665.57.
Second.
A little slow. Okay. Got a motion and second. Any other questions on this project? All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Mark, before you get out of that, what appears to be interesting camera angle that Commissioner Rothstein commented on, I want to thank you and your staff. We had an incident on Friday where several of us were getting some interesting emails. On a Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, I had various folks from county staff calling me wanting to know what I wanted. And it was a problem that we had and it even went so far, I believe our county administrator called me and wanted to know what I wanted her to pick up at the store. So that's crazy. And you know, the cybersecurity thing has always been serious, but in today's times, it's very serious. So without getting into a whole long dissertation on that, Mark, I think what you said to me on Friday afternoon or Friday evening, the software worked as it should have worked, correct?
That's correct, Commissioner. Yeah, once we got a couple of the emails into our system, and then our software detected very quickly through those couple of emails that this was definitely a phishing attempt and blocked the rest of them from coming in. So it's doing what it's supposed to do. And you might ask, well, why didn't it just do it on the first one? It takes a couple for it to pick up a pattern to see what's going on.
Okay.
I'm just glad it's a good thing I never read Commissioner Lance's emails anyway, so I was not affected.
Well, actually, Mark, and I appreciate you reaching out, saying that something had occurred. You know, and I think you can agree with the comment that if somebody receives an email, it's just out of context, and it's usually a 1 or 2 liner. Hey, call me, or hey, pick something up, not call me, but hey, pick something up for me, or, you know, a meeting or something. It's best to send them not reply, but send them another email or text them. It's happening a lot. And it's happening a lot to very senior folks in government. It's happening a lot to a lot of folks in government contracting, in the big businesses that I'm dealing with. So just, if it's out of context, it's usually something, and especially if there's attachments, don't open them, because it's getting more and more ridiculous. So just add on to that. And I appreciate what you're doing as well. So thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Dennis, I need a couple things this afternoon, but I'll send you an email. All right, anything else on this? Okay. All right, with that, we move into the next item, and that is the adoption of proposed creation of Chapter 37 which creates the Department of Fire and Emergency Medical Service here in Carroll County. And for that, we've got Tim Burke, County Attorney, and also our Director of Fire and EMS, Robert McCoy. Tim.
For the record, Commissioner, using to return all those gift cards I bought them last week.
Yeah.
Would you like a cookie? Okay.
Spoil your appetite for lunch.
Thank you.
Anybody else want a cookie?
Mark,
Say about, we need to hear that again because we missed that one. Tim, what do you got?
Commissioners, this is a time for you to discuss, deliberate, and consider the possible adoption of a proposed creation of a Department of Fire and Emergency Medical Services. That would be a new Chapter 37 in our Code of Public Local Laws and Ordinances. Bob McCoy is out here as well, and you recall that we did have a public hearing last week, or on September 17, 2020, not last week. And the board voted to keep the record open for an additional 10 days to receive any comments. This office has not received any comments. I don't believe that Mr. McCoy's office has either. I'll jump in if I'm wrong. So the purpose of this session is for you to consider whether you'd like to adopt the amendments to Chapter 37 that would create the ordinance.
Burke, I don't know. Somebody maybe ought to go over there and check. Director McCoy, have you received any additional comments, sir?
We received one written comment. I believe he was one of the volunteer members in the county. He did express his support for the department. He felt everything could be handled with an MOU versus an ordinance. But overwhelmingly, the operational members and officers that I've talked to, they're excited, they support this, and they're ready to move forward.
Okay. Any discussion from my colleagues?
Mr. Burke, I think Commissioner Wance was looking for an update on his gift cards originally.
Any discussion on this? I think we've probably vetted this to the nth degree, and we made a lot of pertinent comments last week, but I want to thank everybody for their hard work again on this. So I'm going to make the motion that we adopt the proposed ordinance creating Chapter 37, Department of Fire and Emergency Medical Service.
Second.
Okay. Any comments?
This will finalize it. We won't have to come back and visit this again like we do a lot. This is it. All right, good.
This is it.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. So you want to put that up there again? Chris. Got it. So Chris is sharing the design of the patch that will be worn. That Bob McCoy, our director, had this is under his auspices here, and he did a great job with this. So I think it's a very impressive patch moving forward for our department. So Director McCoy, thank you for the work on that.
What color is our uniform?
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Dick?
What color is the uniform?
We haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah, that's a work in progress. We'll get there. So, all right. Any other questions? It's a big day, as you pointed out, Commissioner Boucher.
I believe he said since 2012 you have been working on this.
Yeah, this is and CCV's has been working on it for longer than that. So this is a big day in our history here in Carroll.
So congratulations for carrying the water all these years on this.
All right, all those in favor? And a unanimous on that. And again, excellent work by everybody on that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I don't have any cookies.
Say again, Tim.
Unfortunately, I don't have any cookies.
How about the gift cards?
Yeah, you might let those go too. All right. Okay. Next we have, am I missing a page here? Or not? I think Is next the reimbursement for, am I right? Okay, got an extra paper
Reimbursement
here or
for
something.
state emergency
Okay.
numbers.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Sorry about that. All right, next up is request approval for reimbursement from the State Emergency Number Systems Board, 911 phone system refresh. What do you need money to refresh something for? All you do is push a button and it says it's refreshed, right? I don't know. Maybe it costs money to push the button. Mr. Campbell.
Good morning, Commissioners. Commissioners, as Mr. Wance just stated, we are here regarding a proposed refresh as well as an expansion of our existing 911 telephone system. The expansion, the addition of 10 phone workstations is a component of the much greater project under the Coronavirus Relief Fund project we have to add a total of 10 workstations between our primary and our alternate emergency communications center. And thanks to Mr. Brown's efforts working with the state's numbers board, the ENSB, Emergency Number Systems Board, he was able to secure an offer from the numbers board to fund a complete refresh of our existing phone system in addition to the 10 workstations that we need. The cost is $2,581,304.29. Last week, Thursday, the 24th of September, the numbers board approved to fund 100% of that cost. No additional monies would be required from the county in order to proceed. Again, I stress that this cost includes the 10 telephone workstations necessary to complete the CRF project for the expansion of both our primary and our alternate ECC for a total of 10 additional fully functional dispatcher workstations. Of course, because of the amount involved, Commissioners, we respectfully ask that the Commissioners accept this reimbursement from the numbers board and approve us proceeding with the proposed 911 phone system refresh. And if you have any questions about any specific detail or specifications, Mr. Brown, Jack has joined us, and I'm sure he's able to answer those kinds of questions for you.
Okay, any questions for Jack or Scott? This is a huge amount of dollars here, and this is a great change in what we have previously seen over the years for the ENSB to provide funding for this project. So this is for these projects. So this is huge. And Jack, I know you've been instrumental in working on that group. That work group's been very active over the last 3-4 years. You know, you tie all this into the next gen 911 discussion and it all comes, this is part of that, what we're seeing, it's coming to fruition here. So we need to thank you for your involvement in that as well. So anybody have any question on what these funds would be used for, or where we're going with it? All right. Dick?
With that, I move the Board of Commissioners accept reimbursement from the ESB and authorize Director of Public Safety to proceed with the 911 phone system refresh and include approving the resultant bills as proposed.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion and second. Any other questions?
I was waiting for Frazier.
You're getting off easy on this one, Brown. You know that, right? All right. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Again, Jack, thank you very much for all your hard work there. I know the work continues, but we do appreciate your involvement there.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Scott. Okay. Look at that. And just like that, we are ahead of schedule.
Was Commissioner Rothstein running this meeting?
I don't know. Maybe he was. I don't know. He's holding the strings. Okay. Do we have any public comment, Chris?
I just checked. Let me double check real quick. It doesn't appear that we have.
Okay.
No public comment.
All right. We don't have any public comment. How about anything for open admin before we go into our agenda items? Anything for open admin? All right. With that being said, let's quickly run down through the agendas. The week of October the 5th. By the way, I neglected to say that today's October the 1st when we started things off today. And, you know, just like that, September is behind us now. So it's amazing how things are rolling along here. So October the 5th on Monday at 6:30 p.m., Commissioner Rothstein has an Eagle Scout ceremony at Freedom Park in Sykesville. On Wednesday, October the 7th, they'll be doing the groundbreaking for the Carroll County Career and Tech Center. All of us are scheduled to be there at 3 p.m. And Commissioner Rothstein has a planning and zoning work session at 6 p.m. Thursday, October the 8th, we have our usual COVID discussions. We will have a continued budget discussion on from the Department of Management and Budget. That is as a result of making sure that we had all 5 of us here as we want to move forward with whether or not we wanted to reopen or not the budget. I think we probably all by now know what that decision is, but we wanted to have the respect to make sure that Commissioner Frazier was here in that decision. We also have reimbursement, some more reimbursement from the ENSB, several items. We've got some equipment for North Carroll Library, a couple trucks, and a couple self-help projects, and that list will probably grow. And the only other thing we have that week is Sunday, is the podcast. That's Commissioner Frazier has the podcast for that week. Any additions or corrections to that? All right, we move into the week of October the 12th. A reminder that on Monday, October the 12th, the county offices are closed for the observance of Columbus Day. Tuesday, October the 13th is planned work session for comp rezoning, and that's with all 5 of us at 10 a.m. And then at 7 p.m., I have an Ag Center board meeting. Wednesday, October the 14th, the Board of Education has a meeting at 5 p.m. Dennis, didn't they say they were meeting next week as well? I thought I heard them say that last night.
They did. It was supposed to be just a closed meeting with them meeting, but now they have a couple of things to go into an open session with as well. So it's good to be a weekly meeting here with the Board of Ed.
Okay, well, we'll make sure we add that to your agenda on the 7th. I guess that would be on the 7th. That'd be the week prior. All right, on the 15th, Commissioner Rothstein and I have our the BWI Partnership annual meeting. And as a result of that, we will start open session. Am I right with this? What time are we starting
10
open
a.m.
session? 10 a.m.? Okay, 10 a.m. I got the wrong page here. All right. Anyway, 10 a.m. we go into session. Again, COVID, we've got some state's attorney office work there, and then I'm sure that will grow as well, the list of agenda items. On Friday, October the 16th, I have a Baltimore Metropolitan Council meeting at 8:30 a.m., and Commissioner Boucher has the podcast for that week. Any other corrections on that? All right. With that being said, a reminder that we have our annual CTP tour this afternoon at 12:30 with the MDOT, SHA, and we'll be getting back on there again at 12:30. We've got the link for that. Anything else for open admin?
I just want to state it's a pleasure to be here with Commissioner Wance. I miss my colleagues out there, and I look forward to one day when we're all here together and we have that dynamic. So I miss you guys. Look forward to the day coming soon, hopefully, where we're in a position where we can all meet together. And I want to let Commissioner Weaver know that Monday, I'll be out in your district at the library or facilities looking at some stuff going in the library. So I want to warn you, I'll be sneaking around in your district, give you the heads up. And I want to make sure there's no mascot for the Career and Technology Center because I'm not dressing up for the groundbreaking at the Career and Technology Center.
I think there is a mascot out there.
I think there is.
Yeah.
What is it?
Wolf?
I think it might be a wolf.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, I'll have to
maybe.
check into this.
I think. I don't know.
Well, the Career and Tech is a wonderful institution we have, and I'm looking forward to the groundbreaking. They've done a wonderful job, and they do great things for our kids out there.
Okay, very good. All right, anything else for open admin? All right, if not, I need a motion to go into closed for pre-bid award negotiations.
Motion going to close for pre-bid award for negotiations.
Second.
All those in favor? And then I will need a motion to adjourn after that.
Motion to adjourn after that.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? All right, thank you all very much for tuning in today. We appreciate, again, the assistance of our citizens across this county as we continue to see the numbers decline. It's because all of you are doing the right thing, and we encourage you to keep doing that. And please be safe, everyone, as we have now arrived in October. With that brings some cool evenings and other activities, so be mindful of the safety and be aware of your surroundings out there. With that being said, we will be going into closed. Everyone have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week.